collecting probably about 10 years ago or so, right? And so before that, I just wanted to cover the walls, you know, just had to put something on the wall so it wouldn't be bare. But I think about 10 years ago, I became much more intentional with what I was trying to do. And that's because I've had several conversations with people who are like, they just love art. And the first person would probably be George Perez. So George Perez, he's a Michigan guy like myself. So George and I, we're tight, that's my guy. And George Perez, we went out to, actually we went out to his house one day. My wife and I went to George's house with Darlene, and anyone who's ever had lunch or a meal with George, you know how passionate he is about art. Like, it's like a hurricane of passion. And so it's hard to not get caught up in that. So I remember leaving and having a conversation with my wife about it, and then I started to look more into it. And I collect contemporary art from African American or African artists. And I look for something that speaks to me, and like this picture right here resonates with me, this sculpture, because this is the boycott of the '68 Olympics. And we talk about John Carlos and Tony Smith, and John Smith and Tommy Carlos. And a good friend of mine who became my mentor, Dr. Harry Edwards, who was a member of the Black Panther Party, was the one who orchestrated this. And the reason I became friends with Dr. Edwards was because when I was at the University of Michigan, I was having some problems making an adjustment. Like, you guys see that picture of me striking that pose, and everyone thinks, oh, it must have been just a fabulous career in Michigan for him. You know, he left Cleveland, got to Ann Arbor, won the Heisman, everything must have been peaches and cream. And nothing could be further from the truth. So like Franklin said, you see these pictures and you don't know the struggle sometimes that it took to get to that point. And part of my struggle was going to see Dr. Harry Edwards probably my freshman year. And he didn't know me from a can of paint. He had no idea who I was. But he had come to Michigan and spoke to the athletes. And I was just like kind of captivated by him. And my brother was in the Air Force out in California. So I went to go visit my brother. And he told me that, you know, what was around him, and it was Cal Berkeley. And Doc Edwards was a tenured professor at Cal Berkeley. So I said, I need to go see this man. And my brother told one of his best buddies, hey, take my brother down to Cal, and he needs to see this professor. And I didn't know him. I just went to the sociology department. I said, can you show me Dr. Harry Edwards' office hours? They showed me his office hours. I said, where is his office? They pointed me in a direction. I went, sat on the floor for like an hour to wait for him to come for his office hours to begin. I introduced myself. Doc, you don't know me, but my name is Desmond Howard. I'm a student athlete at the University of Michigan. You spoke there X amount of months ago, and I just wanted to know if you would give me 10 minutes of your time. And taking that opportunity, that risk, so to speak, led to us having a fantastic relationship. He gave me his book, one of his many books, and he signed it for me. It's called The Struggle That Must Be. And so when I see this, like these images, they take me back to that. And that's why I collect art, because we have our stories. And I want to be, like I said earlier, a steward of our art, because it tells our stories, it tells our history, it promotes our culture. And I'm sure you know nowadays, there's an all-out attack on our history. Like they're literally talking about this book, that book, that book, that book, that book, that book, and that book, take it off the shelves, burn it. And those are normally something to do, books to do with our history, our culture. So I just felt like we had the means to do it. And it's not an obsession, but it's probably the cousin of an obsession, because I love collecting art now. I do. And I love it. The one thing I would have done differently is, you see the pictures behind me, I would have included the pictures of me with artists. because that's what I do the most. I love those relationships. My wife would tell you, so Michigan played in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. It was one of the greatest Rose Bowls in the history of the granddaddy of football. They played Alabama. It was Nick Saban's last collegiate football game, and Michigan beat Alabama in overtime at the Rose Bowl. But that was not, well, that was the highlight. I can't lie. I cannot lie. But before that game, we went out there early, my wife and my kids, and we went to two studios. We went to Curator Raw Studio with the Calitas, and then we also went to a guy named Calvin Clausen, his studio. And we went to a couple of museums, you know. And so that was like great for me to experience all of that with them before Daddy had to get to Pasadena and start working. And so I got pictures with all the artists because I like the relationship. I'm more process oriented. A lot of people are like results oriented. I want to know the process. I want to know, how did you get here? Like, what did you do? What do you use? How long does it take you? What time do you start? Do you listen to music? Do you meditate? Like, I'm fully engulfed in the process. So having these conversations with artists and then acquiring their art and being a really legitimate steward of their art, there's now a much more emotional attachment than just going somewhere, picking this piece out because I have enough money to afford it, and then just shipping it back home.
Yeah, wait, can I add on to that? I was going to say, it's so much about the engagement. There's one picture 100%. In there, I think, with you and Derek in the studio for George.
Oh yeah, Derek, yes sir.
And it's with you, it's always about the conversation, it's about the engagement. And so it's so good to hear you say that. And I'm reminded of a poignant moment we had upstairs where I could not believe my eyes. The 1996 Super Bowl champion walked up to an artist so humbly